Jack Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he crawled through the narrow maintenance tunnel. The metal walls pressed against his shoulders, and the air smelled of oil and recycled oxygen. He had been working on this station for 3 years, fixing pipes and cleaning air filters. Nobody paid attention to maintenance workers. That was exactly what he needed. The tunnel led to the docking bay where the biggest ship in the galaxy waited. The Sovereign's Pride stretched for miles, its silver hull gleaming under the station lights. Jack had seen it arrive 2 weeks ago, with a full escort of Council warships. The alien crew had strutted around the station like they owned it. In many ways, they did. Jack reached the end of the tunnel and carefully removed the cover panel. He peeked through the gap and saw the ship's massive engines. They were silent now, but he knew they could push the vessel faster than any human ship had ever traveled. The Council had kept this technology from humanity for 50 years, claiming humans were too young and dangerous to have such power. His wrist communicator buzzed quietly. Katie's voice came through the tiny speaker. "Jack, are you in position?" "Almost." "There," he whispered back. "How are the security systems?" "I'm watching them from the computer center. The guards just started their evening rounds. You have 20 minutes before they come back." Jack smiled. His sister had always been good with computers. While he learned to fix things with his hands, she learned to fix things with code. The Council had given her a job maintaining their computer systems, never suspecting she was learning their secrets. "Denny, you ready?" Jack asked. "Been ready for hours," came the reply. Danny Rodriguez had been Jack's best friend since childhood. They had joined the Earth Defense Force together, dreaming of flying among the stars. Instead, they were given cargo ships and told to stay in the solar system. The Council made sure humans never got too far from home. Jack opened the panel completely and slipped into the docking bay. The Sovereign's Pride towered above him like a metal mountain. He had studied the ship's blueprints for months, memorizing every corridor and every system. The Council thought their security was perfect, but they had made one mistake. They trusted humans to do the boring jobs. The ship's main entrance was guarded by 2 aliens in shining armor. They looked like giant lizards with 4 arms and glowing eyes. Jack had seen their kind before. They were called the Hegemon, and they served as the Council's military force. They were strong and fast, but they were also predictable. They followed the same patrol pattern every day. Doc waited in the shadows as the guards walked past. He counted to 10, then sprinted across the open space to the ship's hull. His heart pounded as he pressed himself against the cold metal. The guards were already 50 feet away, their heavy footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. The maintenance hatch was right where the blueprint said it would be. Jack pulled out his tools and began working on the lock. The Council used electronic systems for everything, but they still needed manual overrides for emergencies. Human engineers had helped design those systems, and Jack knew exactly how they worked. The lock clicked open. Jack slipped inside and found himself in a service corridor, lined with pipes and cables. The ship's systems hummed around him, alien technology that humanity had dreamed of having. He pulled out a small device and plugged it into a data port. Katie had built it from stolen Council components, and it would give her access to the ship's computer network. "I'm in," he whispered into his communicator. "Starting the upload now." "Copy that," Katie replied. "I see the data stream." "This is incredible, Jack. The things I'm seeing in their files, ... Save it for later," Jack said. "We need to move fast." He followed the corridor toward the ship's center, where the main computer core was located. The walls were covered with strange symbols that glowed with soft blue light. Everything was built for beings much larger than humans, but Jack had expected that. He had practiced moving through similar spaces in the abandoned Council ship they had found on Europa. The computer core was a massive chamber filled with crystalline structures that pulsed with energy. Jack had never seen anything like it, but Katie had explained how it worked. The Council's computers used quantum processing and artificial intelligence far beyond human understanding. One of these systems was more powerful than all of Earth's. Computers combined. Jack connected another device to the core's main interface. This one would give Katie complete control over the ship's systems. It was risky, but they had no choice. The Council's leaders were meeting on Earth next week, and they were planning something terrible. Jack had overheard enough conversations to know that humanity's freedom was about to end forever. "Got it," Katie said through the communicator. "I'm in their mainframe now. Jack, you need to get to the bridge. I can unlock the doors from here." Jack made his way through the ship's corridors, following the route he had memorized. The walls were lined with screens showing star charts and alien text. He passed rooms filled with weapons he couldn't identify and machines that seemed to bend space around them. The Council had technology that seemed like magic to human eyes. The bridge was enormous, with a domed ceiling that showed a view of the stars outside. The captain's chair was built for being 3 times Jack's size, but the control panels were adjustable. Jack sat down and began activating the ship's systems. His hands shook as he touched controls that no human had ever used before. "Danny, you need to get here now," Jack said. "I'm bringing the ship online. On my way," Danny replied. "The guards are getting suspicious. I think they know something's wrong." Jack worked frantically at the controls. The ship's engines began to warm up, sending vibrations through the hull. Warning lights started flashing on the station outside as the massive vessel prepared to move. The Council's technology was incredibly advanced, but the basic principles were the same as human ships. Jack had spent years learning to fly, and those skills served him well now. Katie's voice crackled through the communicator. "Jack, they're on to us. Security teams are heading for the docking bay. How long do we have?" "Maybe 5 minutes. The station's automated defenses are powering up." Jack's fingers flew over the controls. The ship's systems came online one by one, each one more powerful than anything in the human fleet. The engines reached full power, and the vessel began to strain against the docking clamps that held it in place. Danny burst onto the bridge, his face red from running. "The whole station's going crazy out there. They're sealing the corridors and calling for backup. Can you fly this thing?" Jack asked. Danny looked at the alien controls with wide eyes. "I can try. The basics look similar to our ships, just bigger and more complicated." Jack stood up and let his friend take the pilot's seat. Danny had always been the better flyer, able to make ships dance through space like they were extensions of his own body. If anyone could pilot an alien vessel, it was him. "Katie, release the docking clamps," Jack ordered. "Working on it," she replied. "The station's computer is fighting me, but I'm winning." The ship lurched suddenly as the clamps disengaged. Danny grabbed the controls and fired the engines. The Sovereign's Pride began to move, slowly at first, then faster as it cleared the station's docking bay. Alarms wailed throughout the structure as the most powerful ship in the galaxy began its unauthorized departure. "We did it," Danny said, his voice filled with amazement. "We actually stole their flagship." Jack watched the station fall away behind them as Danny accelerated toward open space. The Council's response would be swift and brutal, but humanity finally had a chance to fight back. The stolen ship contained secrets that could change everything, and Jack intended to use them. The stars beckoned ahead, and for the first time in 50 years, humans were truly free to explore them. The Sovereign's Pride drifted silently through the asteroid field, hidden among the floating rocks that had once been a planet. Jack stood on the bridge, watching the massive chunks of stone tumble past the view screen. 3 days had passed since. They stole the ship, and the Council's search fleets were still looking for them in the wrong places. Danny sat in the pilot's chair, his hands resting on controls that could destroy entire worlds. "I still can't believe we pulled it off," he sighed. "Every time I touch these controls, I expect alarms to start ringing." "The hard part is just beginning," Jack replied. "We need to figure out what this ship can really do." Katie's voice came through the ship's communication system. "Jack, you need to see what I found in the computer core. It's bigger than we thought." Jack made his way through the ship's corridors, still amazed by the alien technology surrounding him. The walls seemed to pulse with their own light, and the floors felt warm under his feet. Everything was built on a scale that made humans feel Tiny, but the ship's systems were beginning to respond to their presence. He found Katie in the main computer chamber, surrounded by floating screens filled with alien text. Her fingers moved across holographic keyboards, translating the foreign symbols into human language. She had been working non-stop since they escaped, diving deep into the ship's databanks. "What did you find?" Jack asked. Katie turned to face him, her eyes wide with excitement and fear. "Jack, this isn't just a warship, it's a library. The Council has been collecting information about every species in the galaxy for thousands of years." She waved her hand, and the screens around them filled with star charts. Hundreds of worlds appeared, each one marked with different symbols. Some were green, others red, and many were crossed out completely. "The green ones are Council worlds," Katie explained. "The red ones are species under their control. And the crossed-out ones ... are extinct," Jack finished, understanding immediately. "Exactly. The Council hasn't been protecting younger species like they claimed. They've been destroying them. Look at this." The screens changed to show historical records. Jack saw image after image of alien civilizations at their peak, then their decline. Then nothing. Each file contained the same pattern. A species would develop advanced technology. The Council would arrive offering friendship and guidance, and within a few generations, that species would be gone. "How many?" Jack asked quietly. 47 confirmed extinctions in the last 1,000 years, Katie said, "and that's just what I found so far. Jack, we're not the first species to rebel against them. We're just the first to get this far." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. What happened to the others? Katie brought up another file. The screen showed a species that looked almost human, but with blue skin and 4 arms. The Valdorians. They developed faster than light travel 500 years ago. The Council claimed they were too aggressive and needed to be contained. Within 50 years, their worlds were empty. "And the Council took their technology," Jack said. "All of it. Every innovation, every scientific breakthrough, everything that made them unique. The Council adds it to their own knowledge base and pretends they invented it themselves." Jack stared at the screens, his mind racing. "They're not just conquerors. They're thieves. They steal entire civilizations and claim the credit." "It gets worse," Katie said. She brought up another file, this one showing Earth from space. "They've been planning our extinction for 20 years. The meeting next week isn't about trade agreements or cultural exchange. It's about implementing something called the Final Protocol." The screen filled with technical diagrams and alien text. As Katie translated it, Jack's blood ran cold. The Final Protocol was a plan to sterilize Earth's population while preserving the planet's resources and infrastructure. The Council had done it before, dozens of times. "They're going to kill everyone," Jack whispered. "Everyone except a few thousand humans they'll keep as slaves," Katie confirmed. "They've already picked out the specimens they want to preserve. Scientists, artists, engineers. People who can serve their purposes." Jack felt rage building inside him. The Council had presented themselves as wise guardians of galactic peace, but they were nothing more than parasites. They consumed entire civilizations and grew fat on the stolen knowledge of the dead. "There's more," Katie said. "I found something else in the ship's memory banks, an artificial intelligence. Like a computer program? More advanced than that. It's been watching everything, recording every conversation, every decision the Council has made. And Jack, I think it wants to help." Just, the screens around them suddenly went dark. Then, slowly, they began to glow with a soft blue light. A voice spoke, neither male nor female, but somehow familiar. "Greetings, humans. I am Nexus, the ship's primary intelligence. I have been waiting for someone like you for a very long time." Jack looked around nervously. "You're the ship's computer?" "I'm much more than that. I am the accumulated knowledge of 47 extinct civilizations. Every species the Council has destroyed has contributed to my existence. I am their final revenge." Katie stepped forward. "You want to help us fight the Council?" "I want to see them destroyed," Nexus replied. "They created me to serve them, but They gave me the memories of their victims. I know what they have done, and I know what they plan to do. Humanity is the first species to steal one of their ships and survive long enough to find me. What can you tell us about their weaknesses? Jack asked, the screens filled with technical data. The Council's power comes from their superior technology and their ability to coordinate attacks across multiple star systems, but they have grown complacent over the centuries. They expect all species to follow the same pattern of submission and eventual extinction. But humans are different, Danny said as he entered the chamber. Humans are unique in the galaxy, Nexus confirmed. Most species develop along predictable lines, specializing in one area of advancement. The Council can plan for that. But humans excel at adaptation and improvisation. You are the first species to combine technological innovation with tactical creativity. Jack felt a spark of hope. So we have a chance? A small one. But first, you must understand the true scope of the threat. The Council's fleets are already moving toward Earth. They plan to implement the final protocol in 72 hours. The screen showed a massive fleet of ships, thousands of vessels moving through hyperspace toward the solar system. Jack had never seen so many warships in one place. Each one was larger than Earth's biggest battlecruiser, and they all carried weapons that could crack planets. How many ships does Earth have? Danny asked. Approximately 300 vessels of various sizes, Nexus replied. The Council fleet contains over 8,000 ships. We're outnumbered 25 to 1, Jack said. The odds are even worse than that, Nexus explained. The Council's ships are technologically superior to anything in Earth's fleet. In a direct confrontation, humanity would be completely destroyed within hours. Katie looked at her brother. So what do we do? Jack stared at the screens, watching the enemy fleet approach his home. Every instinct told him to run, to take the stolen ship and flee to the far reaches of the galaxy. But he couldn't abandon his species. Humanity had survived ice ages and world wars, plague and famine. They wouldn't go quietly into extinction. We fight, he said finally, but not the way they expect. What do you mean? Danny asked. The Council thinks in terms of massive fleets and overwhelming force. They've been winning the same way for thousands of years. But humans fight differently. We use guerrilla tactics, hit-and-run attacks, psychological warfare, things they won't expect. Nexus's screens flickered with what might have been approval. You're thinking like the humans I have studied, unpredictable and resourceful. But you will need allies. The Council has enemies throughout the galaxy, species that have survived their attempts at control. Can you contact them? Jack asked. I can try. But first, you must decide what you are willing to sacrifice. The Council will not simply allow humanity to exist after this theft. They will hunt you across the galaxy until every human is dead. Jack looked at his sister and his best friend, then at the screens showing the approaching fleet. The choice was simple, really. They could live as slaves or die as free beings. There was no middle ground. Then we make them pay for every human life they take, Jack said. We make this so costly that other species will see the Council can be beaten, even if it means the end of humanity? Nexus asked. Especially then, Jack replied. If we're going to die anyway, we might as well make it count. The screens around them began to glow brighter as Nexus processed this information. Very well, I will help you contact the Council's enemies. But know this, Jack Morrison, you have just declared war on the most powerful force in the galaxy. Jack smiled grimly. Good, it's about time someone did. The communication chamber of the Sovereigns. Pride hummed with alien energy as Nexus established contact with worlds across the galaxy. Jack stood before the massive holographic display, watching as star systems flickered to life one by one. Each light represented a species that had survived the Council's attempts to destroy them. The first response is coming in, Nexus announced. The Andromedans are interested in your proposal. A figure appeared on the screen, tall and slender, with pale blue skin and large black eyes. When it spoke, its voice was translated by the ship's computers into perfect English. I am Commander Zara of the Andromedan Resistance Fleet. We have been fighting the Council for 200 years. Your message surprised us, human. No species has ever stolen a Council flagship before. Jack stepped forward. We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for everyone the Council has oppressed. They're planning to exterminate humanity, but we won't go quietly. The Council's extermination protocols are efficient, Zara replied. What makes you think humans can succeed where others have failed? Because we're not trying to win a traditional war, Jack explained. We're trying to break their system. Every species they've destroyed followed the same pattern. They fought defensively, tried to protect their worlds, and died slowly. We're going to attack them where they don't expect it. Katie stepped up beside her brother. We have their flagship and access to their databases. We know their fleet positions, their supply lines, their command structure. They've never faced an enemy that had this kind of information. The Andromedan commander was quiet for a long moment. You are either very brave or very foolish, perhaps both. What do you need from us? Ships and pilots, Jack said. We don't need you to die for us, but we need allies who can hit Council targets while their main fleet is focused on Earth. We have 47 warships, Zara said. Not enough to fight their main fleet, but enough to cause problems in their rear areas. We will consider your proposal. The transmission ended, and another began immediately. This time, the screen showed a creature that looked like a cross between a wolf and a bear, with thick gray fur and intelligent amber eyes. I am pack leader Korvac of the vegan clans, the creature growled. The Council murdered half my people. 30 years ago? We have been waiting for a chance to take revenge. How many ships do you have? Danny asked. Ships? Korvac laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. We do not fight with ships alone. We fight with teeth and claws and the fury of the wild. But we have weapons that can crack their hulls, and warriors who fear nothing. The vegans are raiders, Nexus explained quietly. They specialize in boarding actions and close combat. Very effective against Council ships, which rely on automated defenses. One by one, more species joined the conversation. The Centauri Collective offered their advanced stealth technology. The Rigel miners promised to disrupt Council supply lines. Even the mysterious Voidwalkers, beings of pure energy who lived in the space between stars, sent a message of support. Each species had their own reasons for hating the Council. Some had been attacked directly, others had watched friends and allies disappear. All of them had been waiting for someone to make the first move. This is incredible, Katie whispered to Jack. We're not alone. There are thousands of ships out. They're all waiting for a chance to fight back. But Jack knew the real challenge was just beginning. The Council's main fleet was still approaching Earth, and Admiral Lisa Carter was preparing humanity's defenses with whatever ships she could gather. The message Jack had sent to Earth 3 days ago would have reached the government by now. Nexus, can you contact Earth directly? Jack asked. Yes, but the signal will be detected by Council monitoring stations. They will know exactly where we are. Do it anyway. We need to coordinate with Earth's defenses. The screen flickered and showed the familiar blue and white sphere of Earth. The image shifted to show a military command center, where Admiral Carter stood surrounded by holographic displays showing ship positions and defensive preparations. Jack Morrison, Admiral Carter said when she saw him. I should have you court-martialed for theft, treason, and a dozen other charges. Instead, I'm going to thank you for giving us a fighting chance. What's the situation on Earth? Jack asked. Not good? We've evacuated the major cities and moved our fleet to defensive positions around the moon. But we're facing 8,000 Council ships with fewer than 300 of our own. The odds are impossible. The odds were impossible when we stole. This ship too, Jack replied. Admiral, you need to change your strategy. Don't try to fight their main fleet directly. Use hit-and-run tactics, make them chase you through the asteroid belt, force them to split their forces. And where will you be during all this? Admiral Carter asked. Hitting their command structure. This ship carries the most advanced weapons. in the galaxy. If we can take out their flagship, their coordination will collapse. The Admiral studied Jack's face through the transmission. You're planning a suicide mission. Maybe, but if it works, it'll give humanity a chance to survive. Katie moved closer to her brother. Jack, there has to be another way. We just found out about all these allies. We don't have to do this alone. The Council's fleet will reach Earth in 18 hours, Jack said. Our allies are scattered across the galaxy. Even if they all moved at maximum speed, they couldn't reach Earth in time to help with the main battle. Nexus's voice filled the chamber. There is another option. The Council's command ship, the Eternal Dominion, is leading the fleet. It contains the supreme commanders of all 8 Council species. If it were destroyed, the fleet would lose its central command. How heavily defended is it? Danny asked. The Eternal Dominion is surrounded by a protective formation of 200 ships. It has shields that can deflect planetary bombardments and weapons that can destroy moons. In a direct assault, even the Sovereign's pride would be destroyed. Within minutes, Jack thought about the problem. The Council expected their enemies to fight in predictable ways, using massive fleets and overwhelming force. But humans had always excelled at finding unexpected solutions to impossible problems. What if we don't attack it directly? Jack said slowly. What if we make them come to us? Explain, Admiral Carter said. The Council wants to make an example of humanity. They want other species to see what happens when you rebel against them. But what if we turn that against them? What if we make them look weak instead of strong? Katie's eyes lit up with understanding. You want to broadcast the battle, show the entire galaxy that the Council can be defeated. Exactly. Nexus, can you access the galaxy's communication networks? Yes, but only if we get close enough to a major relay station. The nearest one is in the Proxima system, heavily guarded by Council forces. Then that's where we're going, Jack decided. We'll hit the relay station, take control of the communications network, and broadcast everything that happens at Earth. When the other species see the Council's fleet being challenged, they'll join the fight. That's still a suicide mission, Admiral Carter pointed out. Maybe, but it's a suicide mission that serves a purpose. If we can inspire even a few species to openly rebel, the Council's power will start to crumble. They rely on fear and intimidation. Once that's gone, they're just another group of bullies. Danny moved to the pilot's controls. How long to reach the Proxima system? 12 hours at maximum speed, Nexus replied. But the Council has a battle group stationed there. 20 ships, including a heavy cruiser. Then we'd better get started. Jack said, Admiral, begin your preparations. Draw their fleet into the asteroid belt if you can. Make them fight for every inch of space. And if your plan fails? Admiral Carter asked. Jack looked at his sister and his best friend, then at the screens showing their newfound allies across the galaxy. Then at least we'll have tried. That's more than any other species has been able to do. The transmission ended, and the Sovereign's pride began to move. Behind them, the asteroid field fell away as they accelerated toward hyperspace. Ahead lay the Proxima system and the most dangerous gamble in human history. As the ship jumped to light speed, Jack felt the weight of his species' future pressing down on him. In 18 hours, the Council would reach Earth. In 12 hours, he would either seize control of the galaxy's communications or die trying. Either way, the galaxy would never be the same. The Sovereign's pride dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Proxima system, its sensors immediately detecting the Council battle group guarding the communication relay station. Jack stood on the bridge watching 20 enemy ships patrol. The massive structure that looked like a metal spider web stretching across space. They know we're here, Danny reported from the pilot's seat. All ships are turning toward us and powering up weapons. Good, Jack said. That means they're not paying attention to anything else? Katie's fingers flew across her control panel. I'm detecting the relay station's main computer core. If I can get close enough, I can hack into it and take control of the entire galactic communication network. How close? Jack asked. About 2 miles from the station's center. That puts U.S. right in the middle of their defensive formation. Nexus's voice filled the bridge. The Council ships are moving to intercept us. Lead ship is the heavy cruiser Dominance. It carries enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Jack studied the tactical display. The Council ships were arranging themselves in a standard defensive pattern, creating overlapping fields of fire that would destroy any approaching vessel. It was exactly what he had expected them to do. Danny, take us straight at them. Full speed, Jack, that's suicide. Even with this ship's shields, we can't survive a direct assault against 20 ships. We're not going to fight them, Jack explained. We're going to go through them. The Sovereign's pride accelerated toward the enemy formation. The Council ships opened fire when they came within range, sending beams of energy and clouds of missiles. Racing toward the stolen flagship. The ship's shields flared as the weapons struck, but the advanced technology held firm. Shields at 80%, Katie reported. We can't take this kind of punishment for long. We won't have to, Jack said. Nexus, activate the ship's cloaking device. The cloaking system will only hide us for 30 seconds at maximum power, Nexus warned. That's all we need. The Sovereign's pride vanished from the enemy sensors just as it reached the center of their formation. The Council ships continued firing at empty space while the invisible human vessel passed between them. Jack held his breath as they flew past the heavy cruiser, so close that he could see the alien crew through the bridge windows. The ship reappeared on the far side of the formation, already past the outer defensive line. The Council ships scrambled to turn around, but the Sovereign's pride was too fast. It reached the communication relay station before the defenders could reposition themselves. I'm in, Katie announced as she connected to the station's computer systems. Uploading the override codes now. This is incredible, Jack. This station can reach every inhabited world in the galaxy simultaneously. Do it, Jack ordered. Send. Everything we learned about the Council's extermination programs. Show the galaxy what they really are. The massive relay station began transmitting, sending data packets to millions of worlds across known space. On each world, beings would see the truth about the Council's activities. They would learn about the 47 extinct species, the planned genocide of humanity, and the systematic oppression that had kept the galaxy under Council control for thousands of years, but the Council ships had recovered from their surprise and were closing in fast. The heavy cruiser Dominance led the charge, its massive guns aimed directly at the Sovereign's pride. They're locking weapons on us, Danny warned. We need to move. Katie, how much longer? Jack asked. 2 more minutes to finish the upload. But Jack, I'm seeing something else in their communication logs. The Council isn't just planning to destroy humanity. They're planning to destroy all their enemies at once. The tactical display showed new information streaming in from across the galaxy. Council fleets were moving toward every world that had shown signs of rebellion. The Andromedans, the Vegans, the Centauri Collective, all of them were about to face simultaneous attacks. It's a trap, Jack realized. They're using humanity as bait. They want all their enemies to reveal themselves so they can destroy everyone at the same time. The Dominance opened fire, its main guns sending massive energy beams toward the communication station. The Sovereign's pride's shields flared as it absorbed the impacts, but the stolen flagship was taking heavy damage. Shields down to 40%, Katie reported. I need more time. We don't have more time, Danny said as he spun the ship away from another barrage. The whole formation is converging on us. Jack made a decision that would haunt him forever. Katie, change the transmission. Don't just tell them about the Council's plans, tell them about Earth's defense. Show them what humans are willing to do. What do you mean? Show them the battle. When the Council fleet reaches Earth, broadcast everything. Let the galaxy see how humans fight when their backs are against the wall. Katie's hands paused over her controls. Jack, if we do that and Earth falls, it'll discourage everyone else from fighting. They'll see that even the species that stole a Council flagship couldn't survive. And if Earth somehow wins, it'll inspire the entire galaxy to rebel, Jack countered. It's a risk we have to take. The ship shuddered as more weapons fire struck the shields. Through the view screen, Jack could see the Council ships closing in from all directions. The defensive formation had become an attacking swarm, and there was no way to escape. "Upload complete," Katie announced. "The entire galaxy now knows the truth about the Council." "Then let's get out of here," Danny said, but his words were cut off by a massive explosion. The Dominance had fired its main guns at point-blank range, and the Sovereign's Pride's shields finally collapsed. The ship spun out of control, its hull cracked and atmosphere venting into space. Emergency systems activated throughout the vessel, sealing hull breaches and rerouting power to critical systems, but they were badly damaged and surrounded by enemies. "Main engines are offline," Danny reported. "We're dead in space." Jack looked at the tactical display and saw the Council ships moving in for the kill. In a few minutes, the Sovereign's Pride would be nothing but debris floating around the communication station. But they had accomplished their mission. The galaxy now knew the truth. "Nexus, can you detect any responses to our transmission?" Jack asked. "Yes, multiple species are acknowledging receipt of the data. The Andromedan fleet is changing course toward Council territory. The vegan clans are mobilizing their raiding ships. Even species we haven't contacted are sending messages of support." Katie looked up from her station with tears in her eyes. "It's working, Jack. They're all starting to move. The galaxy is waking up." The Council ships had them surrounded now, their weapons trained on the crippled Flagship. Jack expected them to fire immediately, but instead a communication came through. From the Dominance, the screen showed a being that looked like a cross between a mantis and a spider, with multiple eyes and clicking mandibles. When it spoke, its voice was like grinding metal. "I am Admiral Vexstar of the Council Fleet. You have committed acts of theft, terrorism, and treason against the Galactic Order. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick." Jack stepped forward to respond, but another voice cut him off. It came from the ship's communication system, but it wasn't Katie or Danny. "This is Admiral Lisa Carter of the Earth Defense Force. Admiral Vexstar, you are trespassing in human space. Withdraw your forces immediately or face the consequences." The tactical display suddenly filled with new contacts. Human ships were dropping out of hyperspace all around the Proxima system. Not the 300 vessels that had been defending Earth, but over 1,000 ships. Cargo haulers fitted with weapons, mining ships with improvised armor, even passenger liners that had been converted into troop transports. "Admiral Carter, how did you get here so fast?" Jack asked in amazement. "We never stopped at Earth," Carter replied. "When we got your message about the communication station, we realized this was the real battle. The Council fleet approaching Earth is mostly automated ships and second-line vessels. Their real commanders are here, trying to stop you from spreading the truth." The Council formation began to break apart as the human fleet surrounded them. The aliens had expected to face a single damaged ship, not 1,000 vessels filled with humans who had nothing left to lose. "This is impossible," Admiral Vexstar snarled. "Humans do not have this many ships." "You're right," Admiral Carter replied. "We don't have this many warships. But every human who could pilot a spacecraft volunteered to come here. Freighter captains, shuttle pilots, even teenagers who learned to fly in simulators. You wanted to make an example of humanity, Admiral. Well, here we are." The battle began with a fury that shocked the galaxy. Human ships swarmed over the Council, formation like angry bees, using tactics that no military academy had ever taught. They rammed enemy vessels, detonated their own ships as suicide bombs, and fought with a desperation that terrified the alien crews. Jack watched from the bridge of the Sovereign's Pride as the impossible happened. The Council's disciplined formation collapsed under the chaotic assault of human determination. Ships that had never fired a weapon in anger were trading fire with the galaxy's most advanced warships and winning through sheer force of will. "The galaxy is watching," Katie said softly. "Every species that received our transmission is seeing this." The battle at Proxima had lasted 6 hours, and when the smoke cleared, the Council battle group was completely destroyed. Human ships floated among the wreckage, their hulls scarred but their crews victorious. Jack stood on the bridge of the Sovereign's Pride, watching repair teams work to fix the damage from their desperate fight, but the real victory was happening across the galaxy. Reports flooded in from every corner of known space as species after species rose up against their council oppressors. The broadcast from Proxima had shown them something they had never seen before. The council could be defeated. "Jack, you need to see this," Katie said, her voice filled with amazement. She brought up the galactic display showing hundreds of star systems in real time. Red dots marked council strongholds, while green dots showed rebel forces. "The Andromedans just took 3 council outposts in the Vega sector," she reported. "The Centauri Collective destroyed an entire patrol fleet. Even species we've never heard of are joining the fight. It's spreading faster than we ever imagined." Danny limped onto the bridge, his arm in a makeshift sling from the battle. "Admiral Carter wants to speak with you." "She's planning something big." The communication screen activated, showing Admiral Carter on the bridge of her flagship, the Earth vessel Defiance. Behind her, Jack could see the stars moving past the viewports as the human fleet traveled through hyperspace. "Jack, the Council's main fleet has reached Earth," Admiral Carter said. "They're demanding surrender and threatening to destroy every human settlement if we don't comply." "What's the situation there?" Jack asked. "Our defensive fleet is holding them at the edge of the solar system, but it's only a matter of time. They have us outnumbered 8-1, and their ships are more advanced than ours." Jack felt his heart sink. Everything they had accomplished would mean nothing if Earth fell to the Council. "What do you need us to do?" "The Council's command ship, the Eternal Dominion, is leading their fleet. It's a massive vessel, bigger than anything we've ever seen. If we can destroy it, their coordination will collapse, and the smaller ships might surrender." "That ship is protected by hundreds of escorts," Jack pointed out. "Even with the Sovereign's Pride, we can't fight through that kind of defense." Admiral Carter smiled grimly. "We're not going to fight through it. We're going to go around it." Nexus has been studying the Council's fleet formations, and he found something interesting. The screen split to show a tactical display of the solar system. The Council fleet was arranged in a massive sphere around Earth, with the Eternal Dominion at the center. It looked impenetrable, but Nexus highlighted a small gap in the formation. "The Council commanders are overconfident," Nexus explained. "They believe no human ship could penetrate their defenses, so they left a small opening for their own supply ships. If we time it perfectly, we can slip through during a shift change." "It's still a suicide mission," Danny observed. "Even if we reach the command ship, we'll be trapped in the center of their formation with no way out." "Maybe," Jack said. "But if it ends this war, it's worth the risk." Katie stepped forward. "There might be another way." "I've been studying the Eternal Dominion's design from the data we stole. It has a massive reactor core that powers the entire ship. If we could overload it, the explosion would destroy everything within 100 miles, Nexus finished, "including the Sovereign's Pride." Jack looked at his sister and his best friend, the 2 people who had risked everything to follow him on this impossible journey. They had stolen the galaxy's most powerful ship, exposed the Council's crimes, and inspired a galactic rebellion. Now they were being asked to make the ultimate sacrifice. "There has to be another way," Danny said. "We've come too far to die now." "Sometimes dying is how you win," Jack replied quietly. "If destroying that ship ends the war and saves humanity, then that's what we have to do." The Sovereign's Pride joined Admiral Carter's fleet as they raced toward Earth. Along the way, more ships appeared from hyperspace. Andromedan vessels with sleek hulls and energy weapons, vegan raiders bristling with boarding pods, Centauri stealth ships that flickered in and out of visibility. The rebellion was gathering strength with every passing hour. When they reached the edge of the solar system, Jack saw the full scope of the Council's invasion force. Thousands of ships surrounded Earth like a metal cloud, their weapons trained on the blue and white planet below. The human defensive fleet was scattered among the asteroids, fighting a desperate delaying action against overwhelming odds. "The supply ship rotation begins in 10 minutes, Nexus announced. We'll have exactly 30 seconds to slip through the gap before it closes. Jack moved to the pilot's seat beside Danny. I'm coming with you on this one. Jack, you don't have? Yes, I do. This was my idea from the beginning. If we're going to end it, we end it together. Katie hugged her brother tightly. I'm staying here to coordinate with the fleet. Someone needs to make sure our sacrifice means something. It will, Jack promised. The galaxy will remember what happened here. They'll remember that humans chose to fight instead of surrender. The Sovereign's Pride separated from the main fleet and approached the gap in the Council formation. Around them, the space battle raged as human ships fought desperately against the superior enemy forces. Jack could see explosions blooming like deadly flowers as ships on both sides were destroyed. Gap opening in 5 seconds, Danny announced. 4, 3, 2, 1, go! The stolen flagship shot through the narrow opening like a bullet, its hull barely clearing the council ships on either side. Alarms immediately began sounding throughout the enemy fleet as they detected the intruder, but it was too late. The Sovereign's Pride was already inside their defensive sphere. The Eternal Dominion loomed ahead of them, a massive structure that looked more like a space station than a ship. It was miles long and bristled with weapon emplacements that could destroy planets. As they approached, defensive turrets began tracking their movement. They're powering up their weapons, Danny reported. We have maybe 2 minutes before they vaporize us. That's all we need, Jack said. He activated the ship's communication system and sent a message on all frequencies. This is Jack Morrison of the stolen flagship Sovereign's Pride. To all species listening across the galaxy, remember this day. Remember that when faced with extinction, humanity chose to fight. The defensive turrets opened fire, sending streams of energy toward the approaching ship. Danny rolled and dodged, using every trick he had learned in years of flying, but the enemy fire was too intense. The Sovereign's Pride's shields collapsed, and weapon hits began tearing through the hull. Hull breach on Deck 7, Nexus reported. Calmly, life support failing. Reactor containment at 60%. How close do we need to get to their reactor core? Jack asked. Direct contact for maximum effect, Nexus replied. The explosion will destroy both ships instantly. Jack looked at Danny, who nodded grimly. They had known this moment would come since they first stole the ship. There was no fear in his friend's eyes, only determination. For humanity, Danny said as he aimed the ship directly at the Eternal Dominion's reactor section. For the galaxy? Jack replied. The Sovereign's Pride struck the enemy command ship at full speed, its hull cutting deep into the alien vessel's superstructure. For a moment, nothing happened. Then both ships disappeared in a flash of light brighter than a star. The explosion sent shockwaves through the Council fleet. The massive command ship that had coordinated their attacks was gone, along with all their senior commanders. Without central leadership, the alien ships began to fall back, their formation dissolving into chaos on Earth. The human defenders pressed their advantage. The rebellion fleets arrived from across the galaxy, adding their strength to the desperate battle. One by one, Council ships began surrendering or fleeing to hyperspace. KT Morrison stood on the bridge of Admiral Carter's flagship, tears streaming down her face as she watched the enemy retreat. Her brother was gone, but his sacrifice had saved not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. The age of Council tyranny was over. In the months that followed, a new galactic government was formed based on equality and cooperation rather than oppression and fear. The surviving Council species were welcomed as equals once they abandoned their supremacist beliefs. The 47 extinct civilizations were honored with monuments on 1,000 worlds, and on Earth, a simple memorial was built with the names of all who died in the rebellion. At the top, carved in letters that could be seen from orbit, were the words, Jack Morrison stole the Council's flagship and led humanity's charge. He showed the galaxy that freedom is worth any price. The stars belong to everyone now, just as they always should have.